to this job about 2 months ago. I was working there on 2 different trees. It just took a long time to get back here. So there's 2 parts to today. There's one tree, dead tree by the river, and there's some dead wood in another tree adjacent to it, which I'm going to use to tie in. I'm not going to video that because it's going to be pretty straightforward, I think. They're tall trees, but there's nothing to see. And then in the afternoon we have this really odd kind of fir that's bent right over, like a fishing rod under tension. I'm not quite sure why it's done that. You know, sometimes you see that when a tree has been struck and pinned down by a bigger one, but there's nothing around, no circumstantial evidence to suggest that's what's happened. It's hard to see from the ground because there's smaller trees underneath. It's not a huge tree itself, like it's not that big, but it is quite tall. You know, it's over 100 feet. Maybe not in height now, but it's certainly in length. So, and unfortunately they've built a tiny home underneath the very end of it. I mean, it's way up there where the end's got to come off. Now there's a tree adjacent to it which ideally would be bigger and taller than what it is, but it isn't. So it might be feasible to get across from that tree to transfer across into the bent one. What kind of advantage that'll give, I don't know. Maybe it is an escape route of sorts. Maybe it gives me a better chance to see the bent tree up close, or, you know, at least on the level, so I can see what's going on and how to tackle it exactly. But I suspect I'm gonna have to get across, set some lines and actually rig the end off itself, which it'd be so much easier if I could just let it go. But now with the tiny home built underneath, it's not possible. But I really won't know till I get up there and have a better look. But it is an odd tree to have done what it's done, being a fir tree, being that age, and no kind of other trees around that are bigger, that have fallen, that have done whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll see something up there that explains it all. But from the ground, like I say, it's obscured by smaller trees underneath, so you can't see what's going on. Copy, Aaron. Yeah, I keep shouting even though I've got radio.
Old habit.
So I'll throw the grapple in and just give it a bit of a wobble to see what happens. It's not being held down, and I don't think it's sort of sitting on the skinny hemlock by a little bit, but doesn't look like much. But the ends it has grown new kind of shoots at the end, not existing branches, But new ones that look like they've been stood there about 4 years.
Yeah, it looks like it's basically come to rest there on its own, doesn't it? Pretty much. Touching that hemlock a little bit and the crotch of one settled in there.
Yeah, there's no splits or anything. Unless they had a ton of snow once. Perhaps, because there's no other trees come down here that have sat on it at any point.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Is maybe the snow pulled it over and then it, you know, doesn't take much of a limb to push past something to hold it from going straight up again. And then so that they're happily trying to grow like a normal tree again.
Yeah, because there's another skinny one there, not quite as big, but possibly it was wedged in between them previously, so wasn't swaying very much, grew top heavy, stood up, and then either a windstorm or snow bent it over and it couldn't bend back.
Yeah, exactly. I just have to hold it from going straight up again. A lot of leverage, that's a long ways out there.
Yeah, because it's possible it was kind of in that group of trees there originally, and it's sort of found its way out. It is a little bit wedged actually, but seems to be the fact that it's pressing down rather than pressing against this hemlock that it's propped it a little bit.
Yeah, most of your weight is still in your rope with that. I'm not sure not loose much.
There seems to be enough little snags on the top side that we can just bring the rigging line right over the top and through all the crotches instead of setting up all those other extra slings. What I might do though is just tie, well, I should tie it to the hemlock to stop it propping back too much when I release the weight off the end. I might just do that, put a load of wraps on so I can release it slowly if need be. So what I'll do is get the end of my climb line and try and throw it down to you somewhere over the back there, and then you put the rigging line on and that the sling with the eye on.
to wrap around the back or around one pin on the front, so basically one full wrap or half?
I would just go around the back and then a tiny little bit on the bollard. Don't pull it tight beforehand though, leave it a little bit loose to give it some momentum, and then just tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, so stand close to the bollard. If you stand off, it just adds a bit of drag, you see, and it'll slow it down. So it might not move at all. It depends where it's going to sit on these crotches. I have tied the hemlock to the top of the foot, so I'm hoping that'll stop the spring back. My worry is that it snaps some of these lower limbs and they spear through the tiny home. But just try and keep it going if you can until it's in sight lower down.
Yeah, you bet.
Maybe take your wrap off, Aaron, if it feels too light.
I think it's good. I'm just going to start lowering it down here. I want to get out where I can grab it.
Oh, what an anti-climax. Just wobbled a bit and that was all. It's free now.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was really looking for one right out of it. Yeah, it's just me. That's a humor thought for everyone.
I was sort of looking forward to it myself because I know that I've got an easy escape route, but it just wasn't meant to be. Might stand up a bit as we get some more weight on. What I'm going to do now is just basically delimit and throw everything down, kind of down at the bottom of the tree where towards where my I threw the sling before. So do you want to just fish the sling out now?
Yeah, I'll grab it now.
So we have moved a bit because we were over there before. This has stood up, and but only gradually. Every log it just inches back a tiny bit, and I've been throwing them down that way. So there's not much else to see really. I'll probably make this the last clip. Just at the gas station, a couple of minutes from home. So that went alright. The video wasn't the best. There was probably more talking than actual action, but it was just that kind of job. It was a busy day really, because we had the dead hemlock to take down first, which took a bit of setting up because it had to be rigged off an adjacent fir. I could have videoed that, I suppose, but I wasn't into it this morning. So yeah, the leaning fir tree, there was no surprises up there, because you never know. Sometimes you get up and it's worse than you think, or than you thought, or it's easier. It was about what I expected, although the tying point on the adjacent tree was better than what I thought it was going to be, but it was so hard to see from the ground. The mistake I think I made today was not bringing some plywood to put on the roof of the tiny home, you know, because we had to rig off those two pieces, and it, you know, something could have so easily broke off. You know, the little branches on the fir were so brittle they can just break off, and at that height, you know, come shooting down like a spear and go through the roof of the tiny home, and that cost would have come off the job. So I'll have to think about that next time. I'll have to I don't know why I was absent-minded in that regard. I mean, everything else went well, but you know, those two sections, you know, I mean, I was never in danger on the job, but if something had broken loose, then we've done all that work, done all that setting up for nothing. So yeah, it just slipped my mind to bring some boards and take the time to put them on the roof to just give us that bit of extra protection. So but other than that, everything went okay. Our method was right. We had originally thought to set a series of slings on the tree itself, so it's like a fishing pole technique, but there was enough limbs on it that it worked to the same effect, but the rope would just rub and snag in the limbs and then run through the one sling at the end. So yeah, I'm glad that's over. It's been on my mind for a couple of months, that job, and me and the homeowner miscommunicated somehow with our emails. But anyway, it's done now. It's another one knocked off. So alright, well, I'll leave it at that, and I'll catch you next time.